Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be back.
Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey into the life of one of America's most iconic literary figures.
Absolutely.
You've shared some rich biographical material, and our mission, as always, is to sort of navigate those sources, extract the most important nuggets, and give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
Sounds like a plan. We're talking Mark Twain today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into the world of Mark Twain, the humorist, the satirist, the visionary.
Right.
But the Mark Twain we know and love, the one with the white suit and that incredible wit, he was built on the foundation of Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
A name maybe not everyone immediately connects.
Right, and what's truly compelling here, I think, is how his entire literary career wasn't just influenced by his life. It feels more like it was a constant, raw processing of everything. Every triumph, every loss.
Every character he met.
Yeah.
His work became this mirror to the American experience, sometimes painfully accurate, even looking ahead.
Yeah, prescient is a good word.
It's true. And, when you trace the roots of a genius like Twain, you start to appreciate the real depth and authenticity in his writing.
So where do the sources start his story?
Well, they begin in a small village, Florida, Missouri. That's where he was born, November 30th, 1835.
Okay.
He was the sixth of seven children to John Marshall Clemens and Jane Lambton Clemens. But it's important to note only four of them actually survived childhood.
Wow. So an early brush with the fragility of life, then.
Definitely. It set a kind of somber undertone, even from the very beginning.
So this isn't just about, born here. It's about an early reckoning with hardship shaping young Sam Clemens.
Precisely. That environment was, well, it was a profound crucible.
And then the move?
Right. When he was just 4, his family moved to Hannibal, Missouri, a bustling river town on the Mississippi.
Ah, Hannibal.
And this move, it might seem minor at the time, but it proved absolutely pivotal.
Because that became St. Petersburg, right? Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn.
Exactly. Hannibal was the unmistakable model for St. Petersburg. It was the canvas for so many of those formative experiences.
And then a truly significant turning point hits him pretty young, one that forces a kind of rapid maturity.
A stark reality, yeah. Tragedy struck when his father died in 1847. Samuel was only 11 years old.
Just 11. That's tough.
Immense responsibility landed on him. He had to leave school, start working to support the family.
Doing what initially?
He started as an apprentice to a printer, then became a typesetter, actually at a local newspaper owned by his older brother, Orion.
So hands-on with words and printing from a very young age.
Absolutely foundational. That early exposure to the written word, the mechanics of printing, you can see how that fed into his future as a writer.
Okay, this brings us to, I guess, the most iconic symbol of his early adulthood. The Mississippi River. It wasn't just a backdrop, was it? It was almost a character itself, central to his identity, and it even gave him his name.
It's really remarkable how deeply the river just seeped into his being. In his early 20s, he actually pursued a lifelong dream.
Which was?
Becoming a steamboat pilot on the Mississippi.
Not an easy job, I imagine.
No, not at all. It demanded intense study, memorizing every hidden snag, every sandbar, all the dangerous twists and turns.
So it speaks to his diligence, his ambition.
Definitely diligence and ambition, but also I think his deep capacity for observation. He wasn't just, navigating water. He was learning the currents of human nature along the way.
And it was right there, amidst the sounds and rhythms of the river, that Mark Twain was born.
Exactly. It was a term he heard all the time, Mark Twain, a riverboat call.
Meaning?
It meant the water was 2 fathoms deep, safe for the boats.
Safe passage.
Right. And he later adopted this simple, practical phrase as his pen name when he started writing professionally.
Wow. Such a powerful connection between that core experience and his literary identity. The river literally named him.
It really did.
So the river shapes this whole chapter, but then big historical events intervene.
The Civil War.
Right. Fate steps in.
What came next for Sam Clemens?
Well, the Civil War erupts in 1861, and that brings riverboat traffic to, pretty much a halt.
Okay.
Clemens briefly joined a Confederate militia, very briefly but quickly left, decided instead to head west with his brother Orion.
To Nevada.
To Nevada, yeah. And this period, it was marked by an attempt at silver mining.
How'd that go?
Let's just say, perhaps, fortunately for literature, it utterly failed.
Okay, so from failed miner to eventually a national literary sensation. That's quite a leap.
It really
How
is.
did he manage that pivot? How did he get into the writing world we know him for?
Well, that's where his true calling started to emerge. Instead of mining, he used that printing
Like
background.
from his youth.
Exactly. And pivoted to journalism, humor writing, first in Virginia City, then in San Francisco.
People noticed. Oh, yeah. His writing rapidly gained traction. It had this distinctive humor, this unique voice people hadn't really heard before.
And then the big break.
This period basically culminated in his short story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, published in 1865.
Ah, the jumping frog. Classic.
It was an instant, massive success, just huge. Catapulted him to national fame almost overnight.
Wow. So with that national recognition, the world opens up for him, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the travels that followed and the writing that really cemented his status.
Yeah, and this raises a key question, doesn't it? How does that personal experience directly fuel the creative output?
Right.
From 1866 onwards, Twain started traveling extensively, both within the U.S. and around the world.
And these journeys weren't just vacations.
Not at all. They became the direct inspiration for his very distinctive travel books. You know, the ones that famously blend sharp observation with biting comedy.
Like The Innocents Abroad.
Exactly. The Innocents Abroad from '69, hilariously recounting his trip to Europe and the Holy Land. And then Roughing It in '72, based on his own adventures out west, he was constantly transforming life into art.
And his personal life was changing too. During this incredibly prolific time, he started a family.
Yes, he did. In 1870, he married Olivia Langdon. Livy, he called her. She came from a wealthy, educated family.
And they had children.
They had 4 children together, though, tragically, this is important, 3 of them died young.
Oh, wow. 3 out of 4.
Yeah. And these profound losses, they would cast a really long, dark shadow over his later life and his work.
That's heartbreaking. And then, of course, alongside this personal life came the novels, the ones that are just synonymous with Mark Twain.
The ones that etched him into the literary canon.
Which ones stand out from this period?
Well, during the 1870s and 1880s, he penned his most celebrated novels. You got The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, that's 1876.
Drawing right from Hannibal.
Vividly drawing from his childhood memories of Hannibal, yeah. And then Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in 1885.
A powerhouse of a book. Still debated today.
Oh, absolutely. Truly powerful, and yes, at times very controversial. Exploring themes of friendship, racism, freedom in America, just huge themes.
What else from that era?
He also delivered The Prince and the Pauper in 1881, that fascinating tale of switched identities, and A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court in '89.
Which is just this brilliant mix, isn't it? Sci-fi, history, social satire.
Exactly, a really inventive blend.
So clearly, beyond the laughter and the adventure, there was this fiercely critical mind at work. He wasn't just trying to entertain people.
Far from it. I mean, Twain was so much more than just a humorist. He was a deep, incisive thinker.
And he used his fame as a platform.
Masterfully. He used his platform to openly critique major social issues of his time. He didn't shy away from exposing the hypocrisies around slavery or the injustices of imperialism or, various forms of societal inequality within his works.
And that part sometimes gets overlooked, doesn't it? People focus on the humor.
It really does. His moral provocateur side is often understated when people just focus on the comedic genius, which was also there, of course.
It sounds like such a triumphant era overall, but our sources indicate that even for someone so globally famous, his life was also marked by, well, immense struggles, personal pain.
It's a really striking dichotomy, isn't it? This huge public success contrasted with these deep private struggles.
Like what specifically?
Well, despite being one of the world's most famous writers, Twain faced significant financial problems.
Really? How?
Primarily due to a string of, frankly, poor business investments. A particularly notable example was his massive investment in a typesetting machine, the Page Compositor.
Oh, I've heard about that. It didn't work out.
It was a financial disaster, ultimately led him to bankruptcy in the 1890s.
Bankruptcy, Mark Twain.
Yep.
Declared bankruptcy.
How did he manage to pull himself back from that? That must have been devastating. It was. But to his enormous credit, he embarked on these grueling, extensive world lecture tours.
Using his fame again.
Exactly. Delivering his famously humorous speeches to absolutely adoring crowds all over the globe. And he meticulously earned back what he had lost. Every penny. Repaid his debts in full.
Wow. That speaks volumes about his character, his resilience.
It really does. Sheer determination.
But the financial hardship, as tough as it was, wasn't the only cross he bore, was it? There was a deeper sorrow accumulating.
Yeah, and this brings up a really crucial point about the relentless nature of tragedy sometimes. His personal life was truly struck by immense loss in quick succession.
You mentioned the loss of children earlier.
Yes. His beloved daughter Susie died in 1896. Then his wife Livy, died in 1904.
Oh, my goodness.
And then later another daughter, Jean, passed away in 1909.
One after another.
These successive losses just utterly devastated Twain, profoundly coloring his later years, infusing his writing with this palpable sadness, this bitterness even.
How did these deep personal tragedies show up in his final years and in his last works?
Well, in his final years, say from about 1905 to 1910, Twain lived first in New York, then in Reading, Connecticut. He built a house there he called Stormfield.
Stormfield, apt name.
And his later works, they did become notably darker, often tinged with that bitterness, cynicism, a profound melancholy, directly reflecting his personal losses and perhaps a growing disillusionment with humanity.
But he didn't just retreat.
No. Despite this, he remained a highly respected public figure, still giving interviews, delivering powerful speeches, writing essays, even as that internal light seemed to be dimming.
And his death itself. There was that truly remarkable, almost poetic coincidence, wasn't there? A final flourish from the universe, maybe.
It's such a compelling connection. Halley's Comet.
Tell us about that.
Mark Twain died on April 21st, 1910. He was 74.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, Halley's Comet had passed Earth in 1835, the very year he was born.
Whoa.
And it returned again in 1910, just before his death.
He knew about this connection, didn't he?
He famously predicted it himself. He declared something like, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it."
And he did.
And he did. That kind of literary and cosmic synchronicity. It's incredible.
Incredible. So after this extraordinary life full of these incredible highs and devastating lows,
Yeah.
what does it all mean for his enduring legacy? How should we remember Samuel Langhorne Clemens, the one and only Mark Twain?
Well, if we try to, connect it all to the bigger picture, Mark Twain stands unequivocally as one of America's greatest writers. Period.
No question.
He fundamentally shaped modern American literature through his groundbreaking realism, his authentic regional storytelling capturing voices in places like never before, and of course, his bold, unflinching criticism of injustice.
And his books live on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
His books, especially Huckleberry Finn, they aren't just cornerstones of academic study. They're universally loved by readers, still, all over the world.
A true genius of words, absolutely, but also so much more than that.
He had that unique, almost magical ability, didn't he? To consistently make people laugh, genuinely laugh, even while he was simultaneously forcing them to think deeply, to question the world around them, to question themselves.
That blend is so rare.
That blend of humor and profound insight is what truly, truly sets him apart.
What an incredible journey through the life of Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Just amazing. From that small town on the Mississippi to a global literary icon who, yes, literally rode in and out with a comet.
Yeah.
His story is just such a testament to resilience, to wit, and to a profound, sometimes very painful insight into the human condition.
His mastery of weaving humor with that sharp social commentary, his uncanny ability to create characters that feel so incredibly real even now, and his fearless use of the written word to challenge assumptions.
Yeah.
These elements really solidify his place as a literary titan.
Absolutely. We hope this deep dive is giving you, our listeners, a fresh perspective on Samuel Langhorne Clemens and why his voice continues to resonate so powerfully today. As you go about your day, maybe, consider how his own experiences with loss and financial ruin might have fueled his critiques of society, or how his life on the Mississippi shaped his very specific, very complex understanding of freedom in Huckleberry Finn.
Good points.
And maybe the next time you encounter a story that seems lighthearted or just humorous on the surface, pause for a moment. Consider what deeper, perhaps uncomfortable message it might be trying to convey, just like Mark Twain so masterfully did throughout his unforgettable career.